All right, guys. So woke ESPN writer Bill Rhoden went on CBS This Morning to discuss the Olympics, and he made some comments that are very similar to what a lot of other woke revolutionaries in the media have been saying regarding seeing the American flag. And this time he was talking about seeing the American flag at the Olympics. Take a look.
I was telling you, my favorite part of the Olympics was always going to the stadium for the opening ceremonies.
I love that
I love
too.
the opening ceremonies, March of Country. Then I just realized, man, particularly after these last 4 years, I had it wrong. Nationalism is not good. We've seen the rise of white nationalism. Nationalism is not good. And also this whole idea, I keep thinking back on the Capitol riots, and I saw a lot of, U.S. flags.
Right.
So now when I see the flag and the flag raises, man, what America am I living in? Are the ones that don't think, we should be here, the ones that think that we should shut things down, the ones that... So I just think that this is these Olympics should be a time of soul searching, and winning sometimes is antithetic to soul searching.
All right, guys. So there's some interesting things that were said there, right, that we have to talk about and break down. From what he was talking about, right, it seems like that maybe he had a change of heart, right? He says that, nationalism is not good, okay? Now, that was an interesting comment to me because it's like, okay, so what you're saying is that over the last 4 years, Trump has changed your mind in terms of what nationalism is or what it's supposed to be. In my opinion, that means that he never actually really understood what nationalism is in the first place. There's a difference between patriotism and nationalism, right? Patriotism is like a devout love, support, and defense of one's country, right? Like national loyalty. Okay, that's what patriotism is. Nationalism, on the other hand, is a more aggressive form of patriotism, right? It is the policy or doctrine of exerting the interests of one's own nation viewed as separate from the interests of other nations or the common interests of all nations. Now, again, it's really just a more extreme form of patriotism. And generally speaking, patriotism is used in a way that's more positive, and nationalism is used in a context that's more negative, okay? And just to maybe put it in more simple and digestible terms, patriotism is being proud of your country for what it does, right? Despite its flaws, and because it's got better and overcome its flaws over time, right? And nationalism is just being proud of your country no matter what, right? Just because you were born in that country. And that I think that what Mr. Rhoden here is really describing when he describes a love for the American flag is a form of patriotism, right? I think people throw around the word nationalist a little bit too much. I think there are a lot of patriotic Americans whom really, love this country, but I'm not sure if there's as many nationalists as people want to make it out to be, right? I think people just like throwing around that term because it's associated with more exclusion, and that happens to kind of be what a lot of woke revolutionaries think the right is trying to do when they have strict immigration policies, right? Where it's like, okay, we're pro legal immigration, but we're against illegal immigration. And for whatever reason, the left tries to smear this as, well, you're a nationalist, right? You want to exclude immigrants and other groups of people based off race, country of origin, religion, things like that. But that's not the case, right? I don't think that's the case for a majority of people who are very patriotic, right? Regardless of that, this guy right here obviously was triggered by the flag, right? And he says that, it reminded him of January 6th. Again, I have to ask these people, why is it that you have let a certain group of people in this country define what the flag means for you, right? It's almost like you're just letting people say, hey, this is what the flag means, and you're not coming up with your own positive meaning of what the flag is, right? And like, this is what I try to say, during the civil rights movement, right? People who actually were going through segregation, who was going through Jim Crow, those people felt the need to fly the American flag, right? They felt the need to say, this is my country and I love my country despite its flaws, and I want my country to be better. Therefore, we're going to fly the American flag. But for whatever reason, a lot of these woke revolutionaries who have not been through anything nearly as traumatic as what happened during the civil rights era think that for whatever reason, they shouldn't honor the flag, or that they shouldn't fly the flag, and that patriotism is bad, right? They think it's bad. And it really blows my mind, because the amount of progress that has been made since the civil rights era to today, in my opinion, I would say there's been a lot. There's been a lot. And that should be enough to make people want to stand proudly for the flag and to fly the flag and to be patriotic. Now, you don't have to be a nationalist, right? You don't even have to be a patriot. But I'm just saying, I don't understand how you conflate this idea of the American flag and showing love for one's country as being some type of extremist, right? And then he goes on to say, the question whether or not that flag actually represents him, right? And I'm like, of course it represents you. It represents everybody. It represents everything this country has went through, okay? Whether that be the founding, whether that be the Civil War, whether that be Reconstruction, whether that be Jim Crow, whether that be the Civil Rights Movement, whether that be all the wars that we fought, it represents everything and everybody, the good and the bad, right? And so many people, in my opinion, tend to not understand the fact that countries are not perfect. Nations are not perfect. America is an experiment, but it's the most successful experiment that we've ever had, that we've ever seen, okay? We're the most successful experiment. America is not supposed to work, right? All these different types of group of people that are in this country are not supposed to be able to live together like we do, right? It's not supposed to work, but it has worked. It has worked. Now, are there some issues? Sure, right? Obviously, there are issues. But like in the past, those issues have been worked out. And there's not one issue having to deal with race today that is bigger or more important than any issue of race that happened during the Civil War, Jim Crow, the Civil Rights, any of that. All the things they're talking about right now when it comes to race are minuscule problems compared to what happened in the past, right? They're minuscule. But yet you still have people complaining and acting like, they've been traumatized by the American flag. And they've also, in virtue of doing that, they've made that capital event, again, which is an event that I don't agree with, okay? I think it was wrong. I just have to make that be known here, right? They made that event to be the worst event that ever happened in American history, when it's just objectively not. Again, that's not to say it's not bad. That's not to say we shouldn't condemn it, but nobody has anything ever to say about all the violence, the political violence that we experienced all last year. Nobody has anything ever to say about it. Nobody ever looks at that event and says, you know what, I might be ashamed of my country because of all the violence that happened last year. Because of the fact that these people weren't waving the American flag. Because of the fact that people were saying this country is a terrible country, despite the fact that all of these people that are saying that are living like kings and they refuse to move, right? They refuse to leave. Nobody ever says that about those movements. Oh, because their movements are supposed to be about social justice. So if you riot and destroy in the name of social justice, that's supposed to be okay. There's nothing that's un-American about that, right? There's nothing that's exclusionary about that, according to some people. But if you wave the American flag and you declare that you're proud of your country, oh, that's supposed to be some type of exclusionary thing. That's supposed to be something that's offensive. For the life of me, I really don't understand it. And I'm also tired of these people who happen to be black, coming out here trying to speak for black people about how we should feel about the flag and how we should feel about the country, how we should feel that we've been treated, when I'm a proud American. I love this country. For its flaws, I'm not going to sit here and act like it doesn't have flaws and that the history, may not have been controversial. I'm not one of these people that does that. I understand the history for what it is. Nobody's perfect, but we're here today, and we are the most successful experiment in the history of this world. And in my opinion, that's something to be proud of. That's something to be proud of. And I just wish more people could just see it that way. But for whatever reason, the liberal media, they're not incentivized to make people see it that way because they want people to have a negative connotation towards the American flag in this country so that they can change it to what they see fit. We've already seen them introduce a new anthem. They introduced a new Independence Day. Now you're seeing them come out to the flag. They're saying, oh, nope, we got to change the flag. You've seen the different inclusive flags they have, right? You've seen that. Wouldn't be surprised if that becomes a major conversation that is discussed at the federal government level. Oh, should we change the flag? Does the flag truly represent everybody? Should we have multiple flags? I guarantee you, this will be a conversation. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.